We want to thank our amazing sponsor, the Rope Drop Queen herself, Michelle McKnight. She's a destination specialist with touring plans and can help you plan an amazing vacation. Whether it's Disney, Universal, a cruise, or an all-inclusive, she can help you with booking, planning, and strategizing to help you have an incredible experience at a great rate. Contact her today at michelle@touringplans.com. Now, on to the show.
Helping you navigate the Disney parks.
With the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.
You're listening to Rope Drop Radio.
Welcome to another Rope Drop Radio. Derek and Doug talking all things Disney Cruise today, Doug. It's been a long time. I didn't even look back since we talked about Disney Cruise. So it is
probably since November.
It's been a while. It's time to come back, and we have very awesome guests, friends of the show that will be joining us, fellow podcasters. But before we dive into that, we have not announced Patreon for a while because Doug, you and I were doing shows live, but we have a lot of Loft World. We can't talk Patreon too much when we're in out in Galaxy far away. Yeah, there you go. You beat me to it. Yeah. Which those episodes are doing well if you haven't, and I'm hearing people are booking, including some of our Patreons. So thank you to our new ones: Ryan M, Amanda Betton, Kelly Kirby, and Rachel Greer actually upgraded her level. So getting more bonus swag, bonus shows, whole lot of fun. In fact, we just released a new Patreon episode today. If you haven't heard it, it's all the fails that happen on Doug and I's flight there and back. Some good stories
on Doug's behalf.
Yes,
other than you bringing a rancid bag of
greatest prank gift I've ever done. Best $10 I ever spent on something to make me laugh.
I'm surprised we didn't get kicked off the flight.
I am too. So listen to that if you haven't. Patreons, and if you want to support the show, that is in the show notes.
Yes, and another way to support the show is leaving a 5-star review on wherever you listen to this. And if you leave one on Apple Podcasts, we will read it. And so here we go. Here's this week's Practically Perfect in Every Way. That's a good title.
That's a good one. And right there, I like
Poppins. It. Yeah, that's all you need, but they go on. It's by K. Carlisle 12.
Nailed it.
I think. Yeah, totally. Stuck the landing. What a great podcast. So helpful in planning your trip. Love the practical advice and fun conversations. Really great listen. There you go.
Well, thank you.
I like it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone who's been leaving reviews. Keep that up so Doug can keep butchering names on air. But let's talk today, Doug. I want to jump right in. We're going to take the show to the high seas. We're talking about Disney Cruise Line. We're going to cover cruise protocols, summer of 2023, a little bit of a trip report, and then what happens when you get COVID on board. So for this exciting voyage, we will be joined with Samantha Kenner and Brian Flock. They make up the DCLDuo, a Disney Cruise Line podcast that you need to check out. You can also find Sam on the Plus Platoon, a Disney Plus podcast. You can find Brian on episode 177. And welcome for the first time, Sam. Welcome, guys, to Rope Drop Radio. Love when you're on. Love your show. It's great to have fellow podcasters and, may I say, friends joining us.
Absolutely. It's great to be here, you guys. I'm so happy to be here for my first show. We've had both of you guys on our show, and I know Brian's been on your show before, but I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I cannot wait to talk to you guys. I love talking to you guys. You sold me on the Star Cruiser, so...
Yes!
Yes.
Yeah, we're totally booking.
The question is, are you going to face paint? Come on, guys. Get all in.
We're going to go as intergalactic news reporters so we can shove a microphone in front of as many people as we can.
I like it. Just get a vest, be news reporters with a fly fisherman vest, and you'll
all
fit
the
right
pockets.
In. Yep.
All the pockets.
I love it.
I'm going to go for road worker vest and just see how far that gets me. So, yeah.
Get something that says media on the back.
There you go.
That'd be great.
In Arabesh, yes.
In Arabesh. Well, yes. We were a little slow in our thought process. We were going to make a patch that was our Rope Drop Radio logo in Arabesh, but yeah, the delays in making it, and my brain didn't work fast enough. So
the real question for the Star Cruiser is, can you put magnets on your door? Because then we're sold, right?
So they're all pocket doors. All pocket doors, so I'm not sure how it would work going into the wall.
Yeah, you might lose your
magnets. Real thin ones, like your DCLDuo magnets, would probably work. We didn't try. We didn't even think about that, did we, Derek?
Did not. Didn't even cross my mind.
It was almost like we forgot. We were really excited to go, but didn't think about going until we were going.
That's about right. You nailed it. Yep.
Living life in the fast lane, and then boom,
Kids,
we were in
sports,
space.
life. Oh wow, let's go.
It was great though. But first, let's talk about the DCLDuo and how long you guys have been doing it and how's it going.
It's been 2 years.
Just over now.
And I would say for the first year of that being in a global pandemic without anyone actually sailing on a cruise, it's been going very, very well. And so, yeah, we've been having a lot of fun with it. And, you know, a lot of people sort of scratched their head and said, why would you start a cruise podcast in the middle of a pandemic?
I'm guilty of being like, hey, I'd probably text you like, so you're really doing this, huh? This is a...
This is really a thing.
I like to remind people we didn't decide to do it when the pandemic hit. We decided before, and we became a victim of it. But the huge benefit was a lot of people in the cruise community with a lot of time on their hands not being able to go on a ship. True. And so we were able to get some really, I just think, fun guests who we might not otherwise have had been able to get on the show. So it turned out to be a benefit to us. Also, you know, a lot of time sitting around at home. And so I had a lot of time to learn some of the podcasting setup and all that sort of stuff. So it's been fabulous. I say on our show all the time, I'm amazed that more than 2 people listen every week, and now we're getting people recognizing us on the ships. And
somebody recognized my voice for the first time on this last cruise.
That's the weirdest.
Yep.
So weird. But yeah, I would say it's going great. And the one other thing I would add to what Brian said is just that, you know, folks have said to us when they couldn't cruise how much they like listening because it made them feel or relive or revisit being on the cruise ships when they couldn't be on them. And that's even happened since the restart, because there are some people who are not yet comfortable getting onto a cruise ship. Obviously, we're not 2 of those people. We've been on quite a bit. But I do think for folks who haven't been able to cruise in, you know, 2+ years, it's a way of experiencing the cruise line even when you're not actually on board.
Yeah, and it's really rewarding too.
Yeah. I love your show and hated it because I was like, I want to be on a ship now.
Right, absolutely.
And it's been super rewarding too. We've started to get feedback from people who are like, oh, I listened and I did this tip and it really helped us out. I know you guys have to get this a lot too around like that tip was just amazing. I think I've said that to you a few times. So it's fun to know that we're kind of helping people out in the community in one way or another, and that's what makes it rewarding. So as long as people are listening and finding value in it, we'll keep doing it. And if they stop finding value in it, well, I got a bunch of equipment that I can sell on eBay. So.
Well, speaking of, you're going to continue to do it, means you're going to continue to cruise. And just this week, we finally got some summer 2023 itineraries. Are you guys booked up? What are you looking at? Doug, is this the time we're finally going to do a cruise together? Maybe we all go on one?
I don't know. It's a crazy list of itineraries, some big differences. And it's the word finally in that sentence is like, finally, like months late, right? Been waiting.
I mean, Doug, we already cruised with you and Michelle.
We did, and it was fantastic back in August. Shared a cabana and everything. It was spectacular. So what are the big things looking at in the summer of 2023?
So I want to start off with one observation about how these itineraries came out today, because they are very telling about Disney Cruise Line's condition at the moment, which is just that they kind of announced itineraries were coming and then they kind of dribbled out over the course of the day, which has been very unusual. Usually it's like itineraries are coming, there's a post you can go to, you can see everything. And today it was a little haphazard, I felt. And so like the Alaska itineraries didn't land until probably a few hours after they announced.
West Coast. It can be later.
Yeah.
Pacific time,
That's
guys.
Right.
There you go. That's right.
You should know that.
It's a time zone problem. So that was interesting. And I think, you know, it speaks volumes about Disney's had some system quote unquote upgrades recently, and it's been causing
upgrades.
Yes. Some tech issues.
Some magic.
Yeah, but the headline out of the release, I think the biggest headline is the Dream is headed to Europe next year, which
instead of the Magic is not headed to Europe.
That's what surprised me. I thought it would be with like one due Northern, one due Mediterranean.
Right? Nope.
Yeah.
What do I know?
Yeah, I mean, the Magic is going to be continuing to sail out of Miami, And then the Magic's going to be going down and doing some Southern Caribbean stuff out of San Juan. So those are there's some interesting Southern Caribbean itineraries, both that the Magic and the Fantasy are doing in summer 2023. So there's some different ports than they usually cruise to, and some different places they're embarking from. Obviously, San Juan being one that they have embarked from before, but it's not a regular embarkation port.
The other big news, I think, was that the UK staycations were apparently a rousing success because they've got a bunch of 4-night cruises out of Spain and Southampton, I believe.
Out of Southampton, but going to Spain.
And so, and they're timed perfectly with kind of the British vacation schedule. And so they were apparently a big success. It was interesting because we talked to a few people who did them over in the UK, and I would say we got kind of some mixed feedback. So I'll be interested to see how many of the UK travelers actually go back to the staycations from last year. So that's another big one.
But I think the fact that the Dream is going to be the ship that's there is going to attract a lot of people, because the Magic has always been the ship that goes over to Europe, and the Magic is the oldest ship, and there's some things that are on board the Dream and the Fantasy that just aren't on the Wish and the Magic, the Magic and the Wonder. So I do think there's a lot of potential there. There's just a ton of stuff over in Europe. The Wonder is staying on the West Coast, which we all knew. There was no Panama Canal sailings, but thus far in the Wonder schedule, at least in the summer schedule, there appears to be no Hawaiian cruises.
Back in the vault. Hawaii's gone back into the vault.
So normally it would be the end of April into early May. You'd have a couple of Hawaii cruises to Hawaii, maybe and then a cruise up to Alaska for the start of the Alaska season, or up to Vancouver, I should say, for the start of the Alaska season. It's possible they could do Hawaii in the fall, in September, but we don't know because that's fall 2023. That's not out yet. But it was interesting to see that missing. The Wish is kind of doing the most boring of
it's the Dream.
It's the Dream, right? Yeah. Exactly. The Wish has taken over the Dream's itineraries. It's 3 and 4 night Nassau, Castaway Cay. That's it. The Fantasy, there's really no change. It's doing its 7-night Eastern, Western Caribbean flip-flopping, and then it's doing a couple of Southern Caribbeans, which it's kind of typical that it does. But there are some, as I said before, some interesting ports in there. The 2 of the ABC islands, not Curacao, but Aruba and Barbados, they're going.
I'll give you my one highlight and my one low light. The highlight cruise for me is this 9-night.
No, 10-night. The Fantasy
is no, not the 10-night. The Iceland.
The Dream.
The Iceland and France cruise looks amazing, and if I could book it, I would. But we're sailing other cruise lines next summer, so we probably won't be booking anything with Disney.
Well, we probably will be booking. We just don't know. In August. We have a wedding in early August out of Orlando, and that's going to be on property. Some friends of ours, and they want to do a cruise after, but they haven't decided if it's going to be a back-to-back Wish cruise or a Fantasy cruise, and so we're probably going to book something in early August on the Fantasy or the Wish.
The low light cruise for me is that they have converted the repositioning cruise for the Wonder up and down the Pacific coast to leave San Diego, be at sea for 3 days, arrive in Vancouver, leave Vancouver, be at sea for 3. I want them to stop in San Francisco, make one stop. Make one stop.
That would be great. I think that would be a fun one to do. I would personally like that. I think the cruises from Barcelona up to Southampton make a lot of sense, because for the UK residents, they can take one flight to Barcelona, spend a day on a beach, get on the ship, experience a quote unquote new ship, right? Without having to fly to Orlando, and then take a train home. It's really convenient. And I know when we cruised in Europe, Americans made up the bulk of the passengers. But I think with that type of sailing, you could see, United Kingdom residents making up the largest percentage. That's just my gut.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. I think the Dream cruises that are happening in Europe in 2023 are going to have the biggest audience from the UK that Disney has ever seen.
Yeah, it's new.
Yeah.
So just to wrap this up, if you're thinking about booking, I would do it fast, because I think these are going to fill up. There's been hesitancy, and then this is going to explode, is just my gut. So Platinum Castaway members can book on Monday, May 12th. Golden Oak is also, did I say May 12th? Monday,
May
May 2nd. May 2nd. And then Golden Oaks, also May 2nd. Gold Castaway members, May 3rd, that Tuesday. Silver has to wait all the way till Thursday, May 5th. So don't get in a hurry, Silver members.
No.
And then that same day is DVC and Adventure Insiders on May 5th. So all the way till Thursday. And then General Public. Just don't even start looking till next weekend because it's Monday, May 9th. So they're really spreading it out. My gut tells me they're spreading it out not to give people more time to book and analyze and move things. It's because they can't handle the call volume.
Exactly.
100%.
I bet you're right.
Yeah, and I agree with your comment. I mean, this is the fewest number of itineraries we've had available up until they announced the release today for quite a while. They only had a year's worth of sailings out for people to book. And I've heard from more than one person, like, when are those sailings coming? When are those sailings coming? I'm thinking about booking another cruise line because, so I think these things are going to book up really fast. I think we might see some movement off some existing cruises out, pushing out again. But yeah, there's a lot of pent up demand for cruising right now. So these things will book fast.
All right, there we go. Summer 23. All right, now let's talk about current. All right, the protocols. Protocols to get on the ship. What's happening on the ship? You guys were there for a back-to-back sailing. You got to see the protocols change from one day to the next. What is the current standing on testing, all that sort of stuff? What do we need to know?
So testing right now, the requirements are essentially the same. The test they're using is different. So unvaccinated passengers, meaning those 5 and under, because Disney Cruise Line requires anyone 5 and over, or under 5. Sorry, anyone 5 and over can be vaccinated. So if you're eligible to be vaccinated, you must be vaccinated to sail currently. Vaccination is defined as a full dose of the 2-dose regimen, all that fun stuff. No, we get a lot of questions about whether or not that includes boosters. At this point, it doesn't. But if you are unvaccinated, meaning you're 4 years or younger, you have to do a pre-cruise test. I believe that still is a PCR-based test that you have to do at home and submit off to Disney Cruise Line.
Between 3 days before and 24 hours before.
And then at the port, everyone's testing. So what's changed is all the way up until we sailed right before we sailed, actually, they changed the testing regimen. So round about end of March, early April, they changed the testing regimen. So they had been using PCR-based tests at the port, rapid PCR tests. Those tests take about 20 minutes to return a result. They're incrementally more expensive than some other tests out there, and so as capacities,
much more sensitive,
much more accurate.
You'll find strands of RNA rather than whole things of RNA.
Yeah, right. Yes, they're very sensitive.
They were. The speculation is they have now shifted. Well, we know they have shifted over to antigen testing, which is basically, if you've been living through this pandemic, you've probably had an antigen test at home, also called a lateral flow.
They're the free ones you can get from the government.
Yeah, you stick the swab up your nose, you put it in some solution, you do some droppers on what looks like an at-home pregnancy test, and you wait to see if you've got 1 line or 2, and that's an antigen test. They're far less sensitive.
2 lines means you're pregnant, by the way.
With COVID.
Got it.
With COVID. They're far less sensitive than the PCR-based tests, and the speculation is just that Disney is making this switch because we've seen capacity steadily rise on the ships to the point where on our second cruise, which was during a spring break week, the capacity on the Wonder is normally about 2,400, and we had 1,900 on board. Contrast that with a sailing we did out of New Orleans that had 700, and there were sailings on the Wonder before that had 300 and 400 people on. So they can't allow that extra time for the testing any longer because it would delay the boarding so long, and the tests are more expensive. So they have switched to antigen tests, and sort of the headline that we have been talking through on our own show is just that those tests are far, far less sensitive, and we'll get into our own experience with that later on. But, people can test even symptomatic and get a negative antigen test result back. And so as you're thinking about cruising right now, just recognize that sort of layer of protection coming from the pre-cruise testing. We think that's, it's not as robust as it was.
A little diminished, still there, but a little diminished.
There's some, it's going to catch. Exactly. It's going to catch some cases. It's not of COVID, but it's not going to catch every case of COVID from coming on board.
Yes. And then You have to do safe passage, right?
Right.
With your vaccine card. What is
Correct.
safe passage?
So Safe Passage is a vendor website basically that DCL has contracted with, and that's where you upload all of your vaccination information, and they verify your vaccination information ahead of time. So you can't upload, I think, until 15 days before your cruise, and then basically a few days before they will tell you, yeah, you're clear for your sort of pre-sale stuff. Meaning they have verified that your vaccination status is correct, right? That you didn't lie about your vaccination status. So they've looked at your card or whatever you sent in order to verify that vaccination.
They're also the site where you would upload. So asterisks on the vaccination status and the testing and all of that is this 90-day recovered process that Disney has. So if you are planning to sail with Disney and you have a positive COVID test within 90 days of the date you sail, there is a whole process you can go through to provide them with provide them with a test and a letter from your doctor clearing you to travel, and they will count that and exempt you from the at port testing that everyone has to go through. So that process is still there with the shift to antigen testing. I'll be interested to see if it persists.
Yeah, definitely important to have, because those PCR tests can pick up stuff, even though you've been healthy for a long time, just random DNA or RNA strands hanging out in the old schnozzle. You know.
That's right.
So it will be interesting if they keep that 90-day. I guess it's not really hurting to have it. So it takes a little stress out of the pre-cruise for some people if you do have it. So why not? I mean, it's not hurting anything to stay there, but not as necessary. But so you upload stuff 15 days before your vaccine card. And that's per stateroom. So like my family who's in 2 staterooms a lot, like I do me and whatever child's in my room, and then Michelle would do her own. So you create a login, a username, and it has everything kind of pre in there. If you've cruised already, good news, your vaccine card's already in there, which is awesome.
Yep, you just have to add the new reservation number. In order to essentially update it for your next sailing. So you're telling Safe Passage, okay, I've been on the cruise, but guess what? I'm going on the cruise again. Here's my new sailing that I'm going on.
Yours is probably like super confused. It's like, again?
We've got like, I don't know, 5 or 6 on there.
We've done 6 or 7 cruises since the restart. So we've seen the full evolution of protocols over time. And the thing you just mentioned about them having it on the website and porting it over, that was a change because in the early days that we were cruising, we had to like reinstall it or re-upload it every time. So
So currently on board, what protocols are left?
What protocols are left?
Some empty hand sanitizer stations are still there.
There's not much. I'm trying to think if there's anything.
The
characters right now. Okay, so I will say the one thing right now is on board the ships, you cannot yet hug the characters. This just happened at the parks, right? So at the 18th. So on the 18th, as of the 18th, you can hug Mickey and Minnie and whoever else you want. On the ships, they have not yet done that. So I wouldn't really call it social distancing because there's no 6 feet of space between the characters and the guests, and there's no rope in between the characters and the guests, which there were at times. That's how they would socially distance people, but they're not hugging yet, so they're not quite. They're not within maybe.
So they're acting
2
like
feet.
me,
right? Awkward side hug or close by,
yeah. I mean, the way that I would think about this is not protocol based any longer. It's more experience based. So what experiences have reverted to what they were like before, because Disney has masks are optional and social distancing is gone, but that doesn't mean that everything is back to normal. So yes, Cabanas is now a full offering buffet, and it has moved from crew serve to self-serve, which God, I hate that has come back. I wish
and that changed while we were on on board, basically.
Hot tubs are full again. Pools are full again. There's no more 15-minute, pool time.
There's no limit, right? It's kid soup again. There's no limit to how many people can be in the pool or the hot tubs.
But what's not come back are things like, so they're not currently seating unlinked reservations for dinners. They're not being paired up with. They're not doing any of the.
Derek and I cruise together with our families, and I don't link them. I use.
You don't have to sit with him.
That's okay.
You don't have to sit together.
Oh.
Right. But if you do link,
still gonna make it happen.
Right. But if you link your reservations, or if you have Michelle link your reservations because she's your travel agent, then you will get seated together if you've chosen the same, dining time.
But the other things that like tours on board aren't really still happening. So you're not going to get the Art of the Theme Ship tour, which is really popular.
Okay. Yeah.
Palo brunch buffet is not back yet.
The brunch is still,
a lot of speculation
happening without the buffet.
And there's a lot of speculation whether the buffet will make it back or not.
Buns. There's sticky
kind
buns.
of.
Kind of.
You have to ask for them in advance.
Well, they've been kind of hit or miss.
Not shy about that at all.
Yeah.
So there are definitely some things that are not fully back. Well, that's a great example is that Art of the Theme Ship tour. And then there's definitely some other experiences. Oh, there's like a cooking experience that I've never gotten to do because it always booked up with concierge first, but it's like always limited to 10 people on board. I think it's called Be Our Chef. That experience is not back yet.
They're not feeding kids in the kids club still.
Right.
They're not sending counselors to the dining room to collect the kids to take them to the kids club yet. So there's just these little things at the margins that some of which we're expecting them to start to return kind of slowly. So the protocol, the social distancing protocol dropped, but not everything came back immediately. And the expectation is things will slowly return over time.
Right.
And staffing more than anything, right?
Right. Yes. And the nursery, that's actually a really big deal for the nursery. So the nursery has not reopened. Meaning for the 3 and under crowd who is not potty trained, who can't go to the kids club except during open house hours, we've not reopened the nursery. It's a small world nursery, but I hear it's because of staffing more than
And there's
anything.
a ton, to your point, Doug, there is a ton of new crew on these ships right now, a ton of new people training. I think the number I heard from somebody was that DCL lost about 40% of its crew and through turnover as a result of the pandemic, and they've got a brand new ship. Yeah, they got a brand new ship coming online. They got to fully staff up too. So I've seen a ton of people over the last few weeks posting on Instagram with their new name tags out in front of the DCL sign. So they've had a huge number of crew change over, a huge amount of hiring, a huge amount of the seasoned folks moving from ship to ship to get crew trained. So yeah, it's the crew staffing issues right now are reality, and especially in COVID. I think we're going to talk about this a little bit, but on our sailing, some of the entertainment crew were in isolation. So, like, that meant no shows that were happening, or some shows were
some shows canceled. Yeah. And one thing about the main theater that was different between the two cruises we went on. The first cruise, even though there was no social distancing, you had to wear a mask within the theater. And so they had people standing at the doors of the theater, and they would hand you a mask if you didn't have one. The second cruise, that protocol was completely gone. So there's been a lot of changes, a lot of relaxing of protocols over time, but we saw a very big change in between our two cruises.
The official change. And then the buffets went back to you have to serve yourself, right? Everybody's sticky fingers on there. And then
that's where you lick the spoon and put it back. Yes.
Right.
Well, that's how you taste test it.
Yeah, you got to taste test the food. Who doesn't do that?
So the only good thing about the buffet being self-serve is now there are more options. So when they had the buffet crew served, they had very limited options at Cabanas, and because now it's all self-serve, all the stations are different again. So now you have a lot more choices.
But breaking news, the eggs are still bad. So
there you go, Doug.
But the omelet station has reopened, so you don't have to have the terrible eggs. You can go get an omelet or a scramble from the omelet station.
Yeah. But but the buffets are back except at Palo. No brunch buffet at Palo.
Right.
So
it'll be back soon enough. Come on. Might change.
But you have to ask for sticky buns if you learn nothing
the day
else.
before.
Correct. You have to ask for sticky buns. There's no caviar. There's
a few of the fan favorites that are off menu that they will make even day of your brunch. And so like they've made the pizza. There's that Gorgonzola great pizza that people really like. They're making that right now. But you
can ask for a pastry sweet pastry basket instead of just like the breads, which the breads are great. But if you want sweet pastries, you can have those. Yeah. So there's stuff like that.
Tips. Palo tips. All right. So you had the back-to-back recently. What were some highlights of that, and what sailings were they?
So we did a 4-night out of San Diego that went to Catalina and Ensenada. And then we did a 5-night out of San Diego that went to Cabo and Ensenada. I will say right off the bat, biggest highlight of those two cruises, I think, was Disney's first ever call on Catalina Island. And there's a bunch of cruises next year where they're going to continue to call on Catalina. It is an amazing port stop in my book. It's a lot of fun. It's a nice, small, compact port stop too, so you can really get a lot done in Catalina in a day. I did parasailing in the morning. We rented a golf cart and did a tour around the island and basically saw the entire island.
Self-guided tour.
Self-guided tour around the island. We had lunch. Nathan got to play at a playground. We did some shopping. Had some great iced coffee, and I just felt like we got to experience the city of Avalon, which is the only real city.
There's tons of ice cream shops too, and candy shops. So if you're into checking out a bunch of different artisanal ice cream, it's everywhere there.
That sounds delicious. That I can't do.
No, you cannot.
Just take some lactate, you'll be fine.
There you go.
That is pretty exciting to be on an inaugural call. And then what type of activities did your family do on board that stuck out?
Yeah, so the silent DJ party. So silent DJ parties were a thing pre-pandemic, but they were adults only. And now they have a family version of the silent DJ party. Spoiler, it's exactly the same as the adult only version. It's just earlier in the evening. So it's at like 7:15 p.m. They had it twice on both of our sailings. We hadn't seen that before.
I think on one of them they had it 3 times. And our son and his friend and the kids were just loving it. And the adults were loving it too, because they were kind of at least on one of the nights, they were playing lots of 90s, 80s, 90s hits. And the crowd were singing along. Everyone was on the same channel, belting out Bon Jovi or whatever it was. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a really fun time. Yeah.
There's a bunch of new game shows as well that they're doing. There's one is called Mouseketeer Madness. There was one that was Cogsworth something or other that was a minute to win it type game show. There's just quite a bit of new stuff, it seems, on board.
Yeah, it's interesting. They have not brought all the old stuff back. They have already started introducing new things into the ship. So actually, there was an announcement for anyone out there thinking about sailing concierge who sails concierge regularly. They have introduced a new concierge benefit, which is they were testing 10-minute early access into the theater for shows and free popcorn for the concierge guests. So that's been something that the concierge folks have been asking about. It's a benefit that other cruise lines provide in some way through reserve seating and that sort of thing. So they're adding new stuff, even as they have not fully brought back all of the sort of the old stuff. So
Well, and they've brought back all of the shows that were going on pre-pandemic are all back now on the fleet. They had brought them back over time. So some of the ships were only doing, 2 of the 3 shows that they did pre-pandemic. Now they're all doing all of the shows. So that's something that's really recent. So we got to see several shows, although we didn't get to see Frozen. It was canceled on both of our cruises, and that had to do with COVID. So that's still a thing, and the Wonder was in orange status while we were on board, which is not the lowest status for COVID. So, so there were a couple of things that were canceled on that first cruise. We heard that the Royal Princess Tea did not happen. On the second cruise, it did happen. But when we were in Tiana's place for Mardi Gras night, we did not have Tiana or Louis, who are normally there for Mardi Gras night. So there were definitely a few things we noticed on board that were different or unexpectedly canceled. But generally speaking, there was a ton of stuff going on. There were, adult activities every night. We had variety performers on the second cruise. The first cruise was, shorter, so there wasn't any. They had the movie theater going. Turning Red was the big movie that was in the movie theater. As well as you could see Encanto, you could see Eternals, you could see pretty much anything that's new-ish to Disney or Disney Plus. But yeah, lots of just kind of the regular activities on board, and all of the dining rooms, because there were 3 dining rotations with all of the restaurants at almost full capacity.
All right. It sounds like a great cruise.
It sounds like it's coming back. I mean, it's just after being gone for 18 months and slowly getting there. It's like home stretch time, guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's why if you're thinking about cruising, it's time to go back.
That's right.
It's still fun. But the sad reality of the world right now is nothing. I know, right? Nothing is a zero risk. If you're gonna go out and do things, be around crowds. Now, let's be honest. I haven't gotten a cold from Disney World or flying to and from Disney World this whole time. And I've loved that. I think before I always pick something up at Disney World, but maybe that's because I lick the railings. I don't know. But so cruising is no different, right? I don't think it's a higher risk than going to the parks, in my opinion, at all. And I'll, argue on that point. But so the 10,000-pound elephant in the room, some COVID found its way to the Duo, right?
That's right.
Yes. On so we were on a sea day. No, we had gotten back from Cabo. So
it was a sea day.
Oh, we were on a sea day. We were on a sea day. Actually, it was the night before the sea day that Sam started to have a little tickle in her throat and a cough.
He's messing up the dates.
All right,
so we'll let Sam tell the story,
yeah.
Brian. Come on now.
Yeah, so we had gone to Cabo, and then the next day was a full sea day, and that afternoon I started to have a little bit of a tickle in my throat, but it was nothing really bothersome. But by that night, this was Wednesday night, I was not feeling well and I started coughing a bit. We went to sleep for the night, didn't stay out or up super late. But then I had a terrible night, frankly, coughing throughout the night, woke up, still felt pretty horrible. And we decided I should take a COVID test. We had brought some on board, and the antigen at-home test.
As we always travel with antigen tests.
With a bunch of them, to be fair.
I just assume they come in every stateroom at this point, but okay.
Practically. And so I tested, and and we had actually gone and gotten some breakfast and brought it back to our room. I tested, and that was a negative result. But Brian said, maybe we should just call Ship's Medical just to let them know, because that's what it says in your app every day. It tells you if anyone in your stateroom has COVID-like symptoms, to call Ship's Medical to report it.
And to be fair, my direction was less of a maybe and more of a, we've been told we should do this, and of all the people on board who should do this, we should do this. So we did.
We were fully, because I got the negative antigen test, and because we've gotten sick on ships before with non-COVID illnesses, we were mostly expecting to have a negative PCR test. But so two ladies showed up from Ship's Medical. One was a doctor, one was a nurse. They put on their PPE partway outside of our stateroom, and then the rest of it inside of our stateroom. And we were in a 1-bedroom, so in our living room space. And of course, Brian and I and Nathan were all wearing our masks. And they gave me, I'll call it a very basic medical exam, checking my vitals, checking my breathing with a stethoscope. And then they gave me one of those crazy brain poke tests. I had actually never had one of those before. I've had PCR tests, multiple ones, but this one was like no other I've ever had. And then they left and said they would, have my results within the hour, basically, or in approximately an hour. But that I was to stay in the room until my results came back. So I get a call about 45, 50 minutes later. And I'm sorry to tell you, Ms. Canner, that you have a positive COVID result. And then
and the one protocol that has not changed on board is if you get a positive COVID result, you are going to quarantine.
Yeah, so the medical folks didn't tell me this, actually, until I got a call from guest services just a little bit later. They said, someone from guest services will be giving you a call to let you know, what the next steps are, basically. They had mentioned quarantine, but they didn't tell me quarantine was someplace other than my beautiful 1-bedroom concierge room on the 8th deck of the Disney Wonder. So when I got a call
if you're gonna be quarantined in a room,
that's
what would you rather, or an inside stateroom with no window? You lucked out on that one.
Well, no, because I didn't. So Derek, I didn't luck out because we had this beautiful veranda. We had a 1-bedroom. I could have stayed in the 1-bedroom, the bedroom part, and Brian and Nathan could have slept in the living room because there was a pull-out couch that Nathan was sleeping on, and there was a Murphy bed that Brian could sleep on. But no, I got the call from guest services telling me, no, you need to pack up your stuff because you're moving to quarantine. You're moving to an isolation wing. And I was told that Brian and Nathan could come with me, but if they came with me, they would have to quarantine in the same room with me. So they would, I would have to wear a mask or obviously clearly, risk infecting them.
Yeah, and this is a part that I didn't fully appreciate as a part of their protocols, which was just that they did not test Nathan or I, and they basically said because you're not symptomatic, as long as
fully vaccinated,
as long as you go about the ship on the inside wearing a mask, you could do what you want. So Nathan was okay to go to the kids club. I was fine to go to dinner. Okay. So basically, we were allowed to continue our cruise. We just had to wear masks. They were no longer optional for us. But she was moved to quarantine, and I will just say that was a head scratcher for me because I would have thought they might have wanted to have given Nathan and I a test. Mm-hmm. Because if we returned positive, then I think we should have probably all gone to quarantine. But that wasn't their protocol right now. So.
Right. And so I was given the choice, do you want your family to quarantine with you or not? And I said no, because one, I really didn't want to infect them if I hadn't already, right? So I wanted to stay away from them if possible, which was why our original plan was I'd just stay in the bedroom and Brian would stay in the living room with Nathan. And there was a separate bathroom he could even use. But anyway, so I went to quarantine. I was picked up. Well, I was asked, how much time do you need to get ready? About an hour, I told them, so I could shower and pack up all my stuff and pack up as much of sort of Nathan and our stuff before I moved. So then some 3 men in Tyvek jumpsuits and, masks and face shields come and take me through a back hallway to a crew elevator down to deck 2. Where I am taken to a hallway that first has a door that says, crew only. And then beyond that, there's another door that says isolation or quarantine only or something like that. And so I'm taken to room 2032. It was it's
a nice one.
Yeah, it's actually it's a category 9C. It's a family ocean view stateroom. So it's got Yeah, I had a porthole, but no veranda. So I had no fresh air, which is not fun when you're sick to not have fresh air. And it was, the regular bed, and it had the couch bed. The couch bed was opened up and made as if, my family was coming with me.
Well, and the other thing that Sam sussed out in this process was that she was the only passenger in quarantine. Because the plates and dishes outside the door were paper plates and plastic cups and things like that, whereas
I got the nice plate flatware and stuff that came on room service trays. So my plates and garbage looked different than the other people's in my hallway.
The crew?
Yes, exactly. The
crew. The cast of Frozen?
Yes.
Elsa?
Right.
Yes. And Tiana.
Elsa and maybe Tiana, maybe Louis, we're not sure who, or Anna, we're not sure who was in quarantine. What we had actually heard about the Frozen being canceled, we had heard that it wasn't, that only a couple of cast members had tested positive, but others were in isolation because they were close contacts.
And so after Sam has left and moved to quarantine, I will say from that point on, information was sparse. Thankfully, we were in Ensenada, so we had cell service, so I could text back and forth with her. But it was really hard to figure out what was happening next because we were getting off the ship the next day. Long story short, what happened was that we were disembarked ahead of all of the other passengers. I'm not sure. Actually, I think some of the express walk-off happened.
Right.
The McKnights of the group were already gone.
Yeah,
right.
Because they were going off the normal gangway.
Through the
Nathan
terminal.
and I were directed to take an elevator down to deck 1.
Here's the back door.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The plank
we
that we never bring out for people.
Yeah.
Exactly. We walked the plank.
We crew came and got our luggage the morning of and hauled it down to deck 1. So we didn't do anything that night, the night before. We moved down to deck 1 and it looked like, what was the joke? It looked like a 2319 was happening because there were 3 guys in Tyvek suits flanking
me.
Sam and one guy with a sprayer, spraying the air around her.
I had no sock on my back, I swear.
And we had our own Customs and Border Protection agent to check us off the ship, and Disney Cruise Line had arranged a car to take us to the airport where we were getting our rental car to drive home. It took a lot of work for us to figure out that was the plan, but that was the plan, and we did get off the ship just fine. Did get to the car rental, and then post cruise, I will say Disney has been absolutely amazing in how they have handled our situation. They basically, within 30 minutes of us disembarking, someone from corporate shoreside had called us and basically said, so sorry this has happened to you. Save every receipt you have. Let's talk about other expenses that, you're going to incur. Sam was not in the best position to do that, and I was trying to drive.
I was feeling like
basically they said, no problem. Just save all your receipts. We'll call you when you get home. And I mean, they were checking in on us like almost once a day just to see how things were going. And ultimately, they basically acted as trip insurance for the trip and paid out everything it took us to get home, reimbursed us for some expenses that I didn't really, frankly, expect them to reimburse us over. And so I think Disney acted like you got the Disney level of service on the back end of this, which I thought was really
that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, the communication on board was lacking, especially when they were trying to talk to me about, how are you getting home? Because, you can't take public transportation for 10 days. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm sick. Like, go talk to Brian. Like, they were trying to communicate with me, and I get that because I'm an adult and I should be a functional human being. But like I was pretty sick at that point. So I was like, why are you calling me with this information? I can't compute it all. So I didn't even tell him what stateroom I was in. I realized I could have called him on the stateroom phone and talked to him, voice call, but I just was so.
Who does that though? I mean, you don't even think to talk on the phone anymore. You're like,
do they have phones in the room? I thought they got rid of those things.
That's how guest services was communicating with me. They kept calling me. Yeah.
You only notice it because that red light's flashing when you turn off all the lights and try to go to sleep. And you're like, oh, there's a message.
Stupid message. Yeah. But yeah, Brian's right. They onboard communication was not great. They never had medical checkup on me again, which I thought was a little strange. But they did onboard or offboard communication was really, really good. And Brian was smart in making the executive decision to drive home immediately. We were supposed to go to Disneyland for 2 days, so we could have driven to Anaheim. And obviously I would have just quarantined in the hotel room. We had a 3-bedroom villa booked because we were traveling with another family.
But that is against, I just want to make it clear, that is against the rules.
It is against the rules, but we could have done it and probably nobody would have known about it. But I was not in the mindset to make any decisions at that point. But Brian was like, you know what? Even though we could do this, 1, it's against the rules. But 2, what if I get sick and then 2 days from now I'm supposed to drive us home? That's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Which, spoiler alert, that is exactly what happened. I drove us home, and then the day after we got home, I tested positive. Nathan started coughing. So, 1,300 miles later, COVID hit the entire family. We're all recovered now for the most part. But look, it will not deter us from cruising again. We're booked on the maiden voyage of the Wish, and nothing's going to stop us from getting on that.
Well, now you have super immunity now, guys.
Right. We're getting our 90-day recovery letters. We've been working on that this week.
I mean, you still got that letter. You've got to use it. Just to clarify, you drove from San Diego to Seattle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank God it was a little jaunt.
Yeah. Little 2 days of him, and I didn't drive any of it. He drove basically 10 hours 2 days in a row. 10 hours Friday,
and all
10
I can
hours
say is,
Saturday.
thank God we did not take a cruise out of
Orlando or Miami.
Oh my gosh, didn't even think about that. Yeah, that.
No, you would have had to stop here, quarantine in our basement, because you would have been sick when you got to Nebraska, basically.
Right, we would have been sick in Nebraska. And who wants to be sick in Nebraska?
No
for
one.
us, for us, it just underscores, and we've said this a few times to our listeners, it just underscores right now. We're not going to be deterred from cruising, but we are making sure we have a plan B. So we're, we got the Wish out of Port Canaveral. Worst case scenario, we have to figure out a hotel room, around Orlando for 14 days, or we have to drive home. Thinking long and hard about our September cruise, we're going over to London, sailing out of Dover, and there's no driving home from London, unfortunately. So
there isn't.
Yeah. So it's just a really, I think it's a great time to work with a travel agent, which spoiler, Doug's wife Michelle is our travel agent, and so we thankfully had her help. Had her help if we needed it. Thankfully, Disney stepped in and we didn't need it. But that may not always be the case for you. Especially if you get COVID not on the ship, then I don't think Disney's going to do what they did for us. And second, I think it's we think about trip insurance a lot. We have an annual travel insurance policy, but you got to read the fine print and figure out whether that covers COVID. And I think even with all of that in place, you got to have a backup strategy. Mm-hmm. So
or be willing to be willing and able to pivot whatever your plans are.
Yeah, like our trip insurance for our summer trip to Europe, we made sure we added the bed rest option. That's what it's called. And it clearly says if you have to quarantine due to COVID. So that was an important feature. See, do I want to spend 10 more days in Italy not leaving a hotel room? No. But I know it's a possibility, and it's just the world we live in. Who knows? By July, it may not be.
Right.
I really hope the testing to get back in the United States goes away. But, who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Exactly.
Now I'm going to Google how long it's to drive Port Canaveral to Nebraska because I don't do
it's
long
20 hours.
I have
20 hours.
20 hours. Well,
20
with my
hours,
kids
roughly.
and having to stop every hour to go bathroom, it's longer than that. So,
and I'd recommend you'd want to come up to I-80. Don't go through Kansas, folks. You go through Nebraska. It's much more exciting than Kansas. Kansas, blech. Go through. You want to hit Nebraska and drive through Wyoming. Don't go up to South Dakota. Just come through Omaha.
Doug, come to Doug. You can give him an awkward hug.
Yeah.
No, not if you have COVID.
Oh, not here. Still, there you go.
So this is
distance wave.
Yeah, we have friends in California. We have friends in Oregon. Like we passed by places where we have friends, and we didn't see any of them. We joked that we were gonna wave to Steve Creasy from the DCL podcast when we passed his town in Oregon. So it's just
he could have flown you guys, like just put you in the cargo hold and flown you back. It would have been safe.
I know. It would have been fine.
And I will also just caution people really fast because there's been a couple points in this story where I'm sure people are going, well, I mean, just go to the airport and get on the plane. Who's going to know?
Right.
I will tell you, there are stories of people who have done that and they land on the other end and they're getting arrested because they just violated federal law. And so when you get COVID on a cruise ship, they have to report that to the CDC, and the CDC is not shy about sharing that information out with a lot of people.
Yeah, it turns out
you don't do that. Yeah,
your name is on a ticket. What? I mean,
your name. Yeah, I don't want to be on the no-fly list. I really pride myself on not being on the no-fly list. And I don't want to get banned from Alaska Airlines. That they're not a sponsor of our show, but we always fly Alaska because they're based out of Seattle. And so I just really don't want to get banned.
But spoiler, next cruise, Sam's getting arrested.
Yeah, I want to check out the brig. I want to be able to tell everyone. So that she can
bring that story to listeners. So
there you go. I
love
it.
We saw a brig on our last cruise, Derek.
we did, with like 9 children in it.
A lot of kids in there. It's all full.
And a woman drinking wine, I think you said. So
that was
next to the engineering room. She probably had the 9 kids. It wasn't the new baby mother that.
Oh, that lady looked miserable the whole time. They can't be on real cruise ships. Yeah. So weird to see them on the Star Cruiser.
Yeah.
That was hot. So any more questions, Derek? I think
No, I didn't listen to your show. I was fascinated. And the drive. When I saw you text the picture that you were driving, I did look it up and I was like, good luck, Brian. That just, I could not imagine doing that. That's a tough one. So good job.
There's no traffic along that route either. I'm pretty sure there's no major cities.
LA.
And I'm sure you just have someone hacking next to you. So you're putting in earbuds and you're like, I just don't want to listen to this. Don't want to think about it.
And you have a kid in the back seat too.
Yeah.
That's.
YouTube becomes your friend sometimes. So
So much fast food. So much.
Yeah, lots of fast food. We did get to hit In-N-Out Burger. We tried to hit Burgerville, which is an Oregon chain that's awesome. But the one we went to was closed for flooding, so we ended up hitting a Carl's Jr. So you get your potpourri of fast food. We tried to avoid McDonald's except for to use the restroom, just because it's like something we can always have. We can have McDonald's whenever.
That's everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Derek, I think it's
time for the lightning round.
Yay!
Well, congratulations, Sam. You have made it to the lightning round. Brian, you did this back on episode 177. So if you want to hear his answers, go download that show again and again and again. Anyway, enough of a plug for downloads. Let's get to it. It's answer with your favorite Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, however you need to, favorite sort of thing. The points are real. They are made up. And the high score wins. All right.
All right.
Are you ready?
Love it. Perfect. I'm ready.
Favorite Disney movie?
Ratatouille.
Oh, wow. I don't think we've heard that one.
No.
You can watch it over and over and over again. Anyone can cook.
Have you been on the attraction?
Yes, and I love it.
So, yeah.
Love it. Yeah. I love all those trackless rides, and I like the Ratatouille one because you get the smells also. It's awesome.
Maybe that's why I don't like it. I don't know.
There you go. You're wrong. So whatever.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm wrong.
Usually.
I know I'm wrong. I usually am. All right. Favorite Disney character?
The best Disney princess ever, Vanellope.
Oh,
that's a good one.
Von Schweetz.
Yes.
From Wreck-It Ralph. She's actually a president. So, all right.
She's awesome.
She is. All right. Favorite Disney villain?
So I'm not really a huge villain person, but I would say there's two I can't decide between because they both have great songs, and that's what makes a great villain to me. Mother Gothel from Rapunzel when she sings Mother Knows Best, and then Ursula, of course, from Little Mermaid singing Poor Unfortunate Souls.
You know, thinking about your answers makes me think of the cruise line, and Mother Knows Best on the Magic is fantastic, right?
That's what I hear. It's the one ship we haven't been on.
Oh,
you'll love it.
You'll love it. And then looking forward to the Wish. We're gonna get Ursula on stage singing. It's overdue. When they announced Little Mermaid for the Wish, I was kind of like, we don't have that. We have a couple songs and some,
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I shouldn't be interrupting the lightning round.
No, I love it.
All right. Favorite Disney song?
This is a tough one because there's so many good ones, but I would say lately it's been Surface Pressure from Encanto, which is Louisa's song. But if you talk to me before Encanto came out, it would probably be anything from Hamilton, maybe Dear Theodosia. I count those as Disney songs. So, yes. But it really, there's just so much. It's incredible how many amazing songs have come out of the Disney catalog.
Well, if you need some kids to sing every word of Hamilton for you, I have 3.
And mine as well. They will go out. Yep.
Sounds good.
Favorite Disney park?
Okay, so this is going to be controversial.
Oh, there are wrong answers here.
It's going to be Disney's California Adventure.
I have no qualms. It's a park. It can be your favorite. It's been remodeled.
I love it. I love Avengers Campus. I love Cars Land. It's just, there's some really great rides there. It's awesome.
It's come a long ways, hasn't it? Yeah, it's really, The only wrong answer that there is, in my opinion, is Studios Park in Paris, Disney Studio Park. Until its remodel is over, it's the only.
Did you ever go to California right after it opened, like in that first?
No.
See, I was there 6 months after it opened, and it took me a long time to go back.
Yeah, because I hear it was really horrible then, and I believe that it was really bad then, but I never saw it, so I don't have any bad memories of it. Yeah.
There we go. All right. Favorite classic attraction? You define classic.
Okay. I'm going to give you 2 because I have one in California and one in Florida. Okay.
Right.
So in Florida, it's the Tower of Terror, and it really has to do with the pre-show narration. I love it. I think it's fantastic. And then in California, over California, they bring it back every once in a while, and it's such a great version of Soarin'. Love it.
And she just picked classic attractions that were made in our lifetime.
Yes.
Yeah, the 90s and the early 2000s, okay?
You're not supposed to make us feel old. It's supposed to be those college program kids that come on and they're like...
Okay. I don't like It's a Small World, I'm sorry, or the Teacups. I'm just not into those rides.
All right. Favorite modern attraction? You define modern.
Okay, so again, I probably have two. I would say in Florida, Flight of Passage, incredible, love it. And then in California, I do love Web Slingers, but it's probably Radiator Springs Racers. Such a great ride. Yeah.
Clearly, she hasn't been on Rise of the Resistance.
So. Oh, I do. Okay. I love Rise of the Resistance also, but I can't put it as my favorite. Yeah,
I'm just gonna mark down the score now.
It is a great ride, but it breaks down too much. Right? Yeah.
That's an understatement.
That is a true story.
Yeah. All right. Favorite Disney resort?
Can I pick Aulani?
That's one. Yeah. Yes, you can.
Aulani, it's amazing.
All right.
And I'll return the favor. Your show makes me want to go to Aulani, so we'll go there, and we're going in March of 2023.
Oh, awesome. Nice. You're going to love it. It's so amazing. Love it.
All right. Favorite counter service restaurant?
Hands down, Satuli Canteen.
Okay, your points. Back up. We're good.
The score's better again. All right. Favorite table service restaurant?
Topolino's.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Love it.
Yeah. Dinner or breakfast?
We haven't been for breakfast, so I have to say dinner. It was incredible. Yeah, it was like at the same level as like, I don't know, like Napa Rose. It was a bit higher level than California Grill, in my opinion. It was super good.
Yeah, and breakfast, I mean, it's not California Grill type of comparison, but compared to the other character dining, it's not even a contest.
Yeah, well, and I love a good brunch, and I love characters, so it's one of those experiences we just haven't been able.
Who doesn't love brunch and characters? Come on.
Right?
I even love brunch and characters.
Yes.
So it's one of those experiences that we just haven't been able to get a booking at it, really.
Yeah, as long as the eggs are better than Cabanas, we're on the right.
True.
Where was I that my kids were like, these are as bad as DCL? What were we doing? It was... I can't remember, but yeah, that's the lowest level of eggs.
Of scrambled eggs, absolutely.
Yeah, it wasn't even mine. I do better. Yeah. All right. Favorite Disney snack?
Oh, this is an easy one for me. Hands down, it is a Mickey pretzel with the cheese in the cup that you dip in.
Oh my gosh, she's got it right, Doug. Another point for Derek's Team Salt.
Yep.
Team Salt, that's right.
All right.
Now a churro in California is good, but nothing beats a Mickey pretzel, period.
If they did a Mickey shaped churro, then you might have something.
That's when you break you break Disney. Those lines are ridiculous.
I would love it, but I still pick salt over sugar.
Salt.
All right. Favorite Disney drink?
I don't know that I have a favorite Disney drink.
There's only one wrong answer here. If you listen to their show at all, you know the wrong answer.
I don't know what the wrong answer is, but
I'm curious what the wrong answer is.
Oh, I know what the wrong, because Wes would know what the wrong answer is.
Oh, okay.
So there were some really good cocktails.
Two wrong answers.
I drink a lot of iced tea, but that's
Banana Caribe.
Oh, Banana Caribe is delicious on DCL, but that's not a parks drink.
Well, it works.
It works.
Yeah,
it's a Disney drink.
Yeah, I like the drinks at Pim's. At Pim's on Avengers Campus, they have some really cool cocktails and stuff. Yeah, it's delicious. Yeah, some good stuff there.
All right. Throwing in a DCL, one favorite ship.
Okay, it's become the Wonder. The Wonder has become. We've been sailing on the Wonder a lot, and it's just become my favorite now. Yeah.
I mean, that could change here in a few weeks when you go on the Wish. So.
Yeah, listen. I'm a big believer of love the one you're with. So whichever one I'm on will be my favorite.
Better stay close, Brian.
You're not wrong.
Absence makes the heart. No, doesn't make the heart grow fonder.
Favorite main dining rotation.
Oh, like which restaurant?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Probably Animators, because I like the shows. I like Animation Magic and I like Crush. And I like the truffle persets. But the meal is probably my favorite meal is probably the Royal Court Royal Palace Tritons, the Chateaubriand and Escargot. So yeah.
All right. And then Disney bucket list item.
that is another easy one. I really want to go to Tokyo Disneysea.
Oh,
I mean, who doesn't want to go there?
Let's all go.
Let's go together. I love it.
Live shows, lots of live shows.
Can we get on a cruise that goes there someday?
That's what the Magic should be doing instead of in and out of Miami.
Well, so we were on an airplane with a lady who's like, yeah, I take these 45 and 49-day cruises every year. And she just got off one. And it's like, that's what Disney needs. One of those 40, 50-day cruise. Just go all around.
It's interesting because a lot of cruise lines, when they introduce a new ship, they send it on an around the world tour, and that's when you get these like really fun, 125-day cruises. But Disney's sending the Wish.
No, that
4 and 3 nights.
Let's go, Churn, make this money. Let's go.
On and off, We're going to Nassau and Castaway.
They're just like get on and off, on and off, on and off. Yep.
When we retire, we'll do some kind of a world cruise for sure.
Oh, that would be awesome.
All right. Yeah. Well, that concludes the lightning round.
Well, guys, take a moment and tell people where they can find you.
The easiest place to find us at this point is we have a website, DCLDuo.com, and it links off to everything. So we're on all the major podcasting platforms. DCLDuo. We got a YouTube channel, youtube.com/DCLDuo. So those are the places to find us. But if you go to our website, you can find us all the places we are.
Yeah, and we're on all forms of social media. Facebook, we're DCLDuo. On Instagram, we're DCL_duo. On Twitter, we're DCLDuo. We're even on TikTok, although we don't post anything. We just watch. So
we have 2 TikTok videos. There you go. That's it.
Oh, is it you guys dancing or something?
No.
Nobody wants that.
Hold on now.
Do not.
Thank you for that one. Oh. Consider that my weekend project.
I love it.
So
now that I will watch.
Yes, I mean, and we raised a lot of money with Doug dancing.
Thank you for your donation. That was very generous.
Yeah, thank you. So
happy to do it. Anytime we can get Doug to dance, the money's there. So
without that, zero chance I would have danced.
Yeah, dollar bills. I'll just start throwing dollar bills.
There you go. I love it.
Yep.
It's like, I'm just gonna keep recording, Doug. This is a 3-minute long video. I'm not gonna let you take 10 seconds and leave. Like, we're going.
He kept. I was like, I thought I was done.
Nope. Nope, we're gonna make it awkward. I even stopped recording. I just held the phone right there, just like, nope. This is now for my amusement.
Just make it weird.
Yep. He gave me the look like, really, Derek? I'm like, yeah, really.
Did he like bite his lip while he's dancing?
A little bit, I think. We'll see in the video. I'm definitely gonna go back and start the Insta
edit this together into the reel of pain and misery.
Yes. I can't believe I didn't think about that. Thank you, Sam. There you go. Love
You're
it.
welcome.
This made my
day.
All
right, time to wrap up
guys,
the show.
Wrap up the show. So if you want to see that content, you're going to have to follow all of us on social media. We love interacting with you guys and definitely love your show. So I know a lot of our listeners already do listen to you, but if you are new, definitely check them out. Really great stuff. And your next cruise is, I'm guessing, the Wish?
Yes.
The Wish, yeah, the Maiden and the DVC Charter right after.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So can't wait to hear all about that before Doug and I get to go a little bit after you guys. And so that is all the time that we have. Be sure to book your trip with Michelle McKnight, like the Flocks do, like we do. She can help you with all the cruises. And if you want to get on that list, these summer cruises are going to go really quickly. So talk to Michelle ASAP. Her email is in the show notes, and she will definitely happily do that for you. She is awesome. So there you go. We're going to get on to our Patreon. So if you want to listen to that, you're going to have to click in the show notes as well. But for Brian and Sam and Doug, I'm Derek. You've been listening to Rope Drop Radio.